Welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, your go-to source for insightful discussions on leadership, job searching, and all things human resources. I'm your host, HR Kyle, and each week we dive deep into topics relevant to professionals seeking to elevate their careers and organizations. Whether you're a seasoned leader, a job seeker navigating the ever-changing landscape of employment, or an enthusiast looking to stay ahead of the curve, this is the podcast for you. Join me as we explore practical strategies, share expert insights, and engage in meaningful conversations that empower you to succeed in today's dynamic workplace. So, adjust your headphones and let's dive in. Welcome to this edition of the HR Kyle podcast. I'm HR Kyle, and not only am I your host, but I also like to think of myself as your guide through the world of work. Today we have yet another information-packed episode for you. Today's topic is one that so many know they need to be doing, but either aren't quite sure what to do, or they just aren't confident to get started. And that's building and nurturing your professional network. Well, today we're going to help you with that. In segment 1, I'll provide you with advice and guidance you can immediately put into practice in your professional life. All of this gleaned from my many years nurturing my own network and advising others on how to be successful. In segment 2, I welcome one of my valuable connections to the studio to talk about his success in building and nurturing his professional network and the positive impact that this has had not only on his professional success, but also his personal life as well. So stay tuned as we help you take your professional networking skills to the next level. We'll be right back. Greetings, I'm Kyle Smith, and I'm here to offer you a speaking experience that goes beyond the ordinary. With a rich background in leadership, HR, and personal development, I bring a unique blend of expertise and passion to every presentation. Whether it's Leadership Unleashed, well-being at work, or career mastery, I delve into topics that empower individuals and organizations to reach their fullest potential. What sets me apart? Proven expertise, an engaging delivery style, and actionable insights that drive positive change. But here's the kicker. I don't just offer a one-size-fits-all approach. I customize my content to meet the specific needs and goals of your event. So let's elevate your event together. Contact me now to reserve your date and unlock the full potential of your audience and organization. Don't miss out on the opportunity to inspire greatness. Visit hrkyle.com today. Welcome back to the HR Kyle podcast. I'm HR Kyle. Today, I want to talk to you about an essential element of professional success that so often doesn't get the spotlight it deserves. And that's the importance of building and nurturing your professional relationships. Imagine for a moment the most successful individuals and businesses you know. What's a common thread that ties them all together? Well, more often than not, it's the quality of their relationships. Whether it's colleagues, clients, or partners, these relationships are the cornerstone of their success. So, why are these connections so crucial, and how can we cultivate them to enhance our own professional journeys? First, let's consider the role of trust. Trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. In the professional world, trust translates to reliability, consistency, and a mutual respect for each other's expertise and contributions. When trust is established, communication flows more freely, collaboration becomes more effective, and conflicts are resolved more swiftly. In a world where businesses are increasingly interdependent, having trusted partners can make the difference between merely surviving and truly thriving. Building trust, though, requires time, effort, and authenticity. It's about showing up consistently, delivering on promises, and being transparent even when things go wrong. It's also about listening more than you speak and understanding more than you judge. When we approach our relationships with this mindset, we lay a foundation that can support remarkable achievements. Next, let's talk about reciprocity. Mutually beneficial relationships are just that, Mutual. They thrive on the principle of give and take. Think about your most rewarding professional relationships. Chances are they involve a balance where both parties feel valued and supported. This balance fosters a sense of loyalty and commitment that can withstand the inevitable ups and downs of the business world. To cultivate reciprocity, we must be proactive in offering our support, expertise, and resources to others. This might mean sharing knowledge, providing mentorship, or simply being there when someone needs a hand. It's about recognizing that our success is often intertwined with the success of those around us. By lifting others, we often find ourselves lifted in return. Now, let's consider the power of networks. In today's hyper-connected world, our professional network is one of our most valuable assets. A strong network provides access to a wealth of resources, opportunities, and perspectives that can propel our careers forward. It's not just about who you know, but also about who knows you and what you stand for. Effective networking goes beyond collecting business cards or connecting on LinkedIn. It's about building meaningful connections based upon genuine interest and mutual respect. It's about engaging with others in a way that's authentic and thoughtful. Whether it's attending industry events, participating in professional associations, or simply reaching out to colleagues and peers, investing in our network is investing in our future. Another critical aspect of professional relationships is the opportunity for personal and professional growth. When we surround ourselves with diverse perspectives and experiences, we challenge our own thinking and expand our horizons. This diversity of thought fosters innovation and creativity, which are essential in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. Seek out relationships that push you out of your comfort zone. Engage with people who think differently than you do, who have different backgrounds, and who can offer new insights. These relationships will not only enrich your professional life, but also contribute to your personal development. Mutually beneficial relationships also play a vital role in career advancement. Many opportunities come through referrals, recommendations, and introductions made by those who know and trust us. When we've built strong relationships, we are more likely to be top of mind when new opportunities arise. In a competitive job market, these relationships can be the key to unlocking new career paths and achieving our professional goals. Moreover, relationships can be a source of resilience in challenging times. When faced with obstacles or setbacks, having a network of supporting relationships can provide the guidance, encouragement, and resources needed to navigate through difficult periods. This support system can make the difference between giving up and pushing through to achieve success. To foster these relationships, though, we must be intentional and strategic. This means identifying key individuals and groups that align with our professional goals and values, and making a concerted effort to connect with them. It means being present and engaged both online and offline, and continuously nurturing these connections over time. In conclusion, building and nurturing mutually beneficial professional relationships is not just a nice to have. It's a fundamental component of professional success. It requires a commitment to authenticity, reciprocity, and continuous engagement. By investing in our relationships, we not only enhance our own success, but also contribute to the success of others. Now, as we navigate our professional journeys, let us remember that our relationships are our most valuable asset, and let us strive to build connections that are meaningful, supportive, and especially mutually beneficial. Now, right now, we need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because in the next segment, I'm excited to bring in a special guest who will share his knowledge and experiences in building and nurturing his professional network. And moreover, he'll give examples about how this has enriched both his professional and personal life. So stay tuned.
Are you stuck in a job you hate? Dreaming of a career that excites you? It's time to turn those dreams into reality with Get the Job You Love by Kyle Patrick Smith, also known as HR Kyle. Discover proven strategies to land your dream job, master interviews, and stand out from the crowd. Packed with expert advice and practical tips, Get the Job You Love is your ultimate guide to career success. Available now on Amazon and other online retailers. Don't wait. Start your journey to a fulfilling career today. Get the job you love, because you deserve a job you love.
Hello, fellow professionals. Are you ready to revolutionize your approach to recruiting? I'm HR Kyle, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to my latest book, Recruiting is Easy, now available on Amazon and other online retailers. In today's dynamic HR landscape, it's all about strategic branding and engagement. My book unveils the secrets to crafting exceptional employee experiences, attracting top talent, and fostering strong connections. With Recruiting is Easy, you'll master the art of continuous improvement and adaptability, shaping the future of work one relationship at a time. Get your copy today and unlock the potential of HR as a strategic powerhouse. Remember, recruiting should be easy. I'm HR Kyle, and together, let's redefine recruiting. Look for Recruiting is Easy on Amazon and other book online retailers. Welcome back, listeners, to segment 2 of the HR Kyle podcast. I hope you enjoyed that break and learning about how I can help you. Now, today we're talking about building and nurturing your professional network, or what I like to say, life is a team game, right? So in this segment, I've invited Austin to join me and share his insight on this topic. Now, Austin has built his successful professional career around this concept of life as a team game. So he has a lot of really good insight to share. So Austin, welcome to the HR Kyle podcast.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm really happy to be here. I appreciate you welcoming me onto the podcast here this afternoon.
Well, we're glad to have you. Austin, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Austin Gonzer grew up in Hinckley, Ohio. I went to Medina Highlands, so I'm a local Ohio guy. Grew up in a big sports family, so obviously it goes perfect with this segment because I'm all about team building and relationships through my sports experiences. I actually went on to Baldwin Wallace, play a couple years in football as well. Played football, baseball, and basketball periodically throughout my life. Got into the insurance industry. It's actually kind of funny how I got in there. I kind of didn't know what I was going to do in my life work-wise, and I got in a car accident, actually, a hit and run, and didn't really have I didn't have the proper insurance to cover the claim. And I remember I was like so frustrated, and a buddy of mine at the time had worked for State Farm, who I grew up with, played sports with, ironically. And he goes, "Hey, we're hiring at State Farm. I think you'd be great at it. You're great at communicating. You're great with people, yada, yada, yada." And I was like, "Yeah, sure," because I didn't really know what I wanted to do moving forward. I was kind of a little lost at that time. And so I got in with State Farm. I worked there for about 4 or 5 years. Thought I was going to go down the agency path, and then I fell into group employee benefits insurance. I actually met my wife's uncle actually does business with Assured Partners, who I work with now. So I've been with them for about 4 or 5 years as an employee benefits consultant, building relationships and obviously consulting from the insurance end.
Great story. And I could crack a joke there and say it was no accident that you ended up in that industry, but I'll avoid doing that. I will not make that joke tonight.
No worries. I've told that story about 35 times that I feel like I've gotten that joke about 32. So you would be in the ratio, that's for sure.
Okay, good to know. So that's why I'm glad I did not crack that joke here, Austin. We're going to keep this serious tonight.
Yeah.
But as I kick the session off and you led into it well with your introduction there, the theme of the episode is that life is a team game. And you even mentioned sports, and that's something that you and I share in common. We've had some great conversations around that as well. But, this concept of building and nurturing mutually beneficial professional relationships and just how crucial that is to success. Now, I'd like the audience to hear your perspective on this topic in your day-to-day life. And reason being, as we've said, you and I have had some really good heart-to-heart conversations around this topic, and I just love your perspective. So if you don't mind sharing your perspective with the audience, I'd love to have them hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing about relationships is they take time, right? They take time and they take effort on both parties, and especially in the insurance industry, I realized very quickly that it was a relationship business. There's a lot of trust involved around it. And I think a lot of that, to be honest with you, has to do with growing up when I was playing sports. You see it all the time with professional teams. You see it all the time with young teams. You see the first day of practice, and then you see the very last game, and you go, holy cow, that's a completely different team from day one to day, 300, or how many days are in a season, right? And that's all because relationships. There's trust there. You go to battle with these guys, and you start to learn more about them, and you create a bond, and that bond is passed through, it may be sports, or it may be, working on, yeah, working on a building downtown, or working in insurance, or just the relationship between you and me, Kyle, that happened 5 years ago, and blossomed to now me sitting here on your podcast. Um, and then I also think, from a professional relationship, I think a lot of it has to stir up from the mentors in your life, and the people that bring you up. And I think of a lot of coaches in my life that have really helped me um, go through the ups and downs of life, and building relationships to be successful. And then I also think about, my family personally. I mean, my wife's family, my family. Growing up, my grandpa actually owned a construction business, and my dad owned it after him. And I remember always meeting, the people they worked with, and it always ended with, oh yeah, he's been working with us for 20 years. We've had a relationship with him. He does great work. We trust him. Or there's Johnny, or there's Kyle. He's been doing this for us for 20 years. We do business with him. Blah blah blah. And I noticed that pattern early on in my life, and it has transitioned really well into the insurance part of it, for sure.
And again, Austin, those are some things that you and I've talked about. And something that really struck me the first time we met was that, you described your role as a consultant, but part of your role is to go out there and generate business and business activity for your organization. But it never had that dynamic to it. You always approached it as someone that, hey, what sort of needs do you have? How can I help you? How can I work with you? What are some of your challenges? And again, as being on the other side of that, I've always appreciated that, because it wasn't about moving a transaction, or having some sort of a transactional relationship. It was always this idea of, how can I help you? How can I make your life better? How can I make your life easier? And oh, by the way, we just happen to be working together.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up, Kyle, because if I'm being honest, one of the main reasons why I made the transition from State Farm to Assured Partners was because I really wanted more than that transactional sense. Because, State Farm, they do a lot of individual personal insurance, so a lot of that is transactional. And when I interviewed with State Farm, pardon me, Assured Partners. Um, one thing they really, the president and really the leadership of the organization kind of told me was, hey, we're in a business of building long-lasting partnerships with our clients, and that's a relationship outside of helping them with whatever it is, whatever matter you are helping them with, and any challenges that they have outside of just insurance. We're there for them. And that really stuck with me. And I remember, I specifically remember coming home after, because I had a really tough time battling, um, moving on from State Farm, because I had a lot of relationships that I had built with State Farm, and a lot of people were like, hey, we would hate to see you go type deal. And I always have my one thing I always say to myself is if I ever leave an organization, I always want to leave on a positive note. So I never want to, and that was very important to me at State Farm. And even when I did make the transition, I gave them a 60-day notice because I wanted to make sure that I was doing the right things and moving forward on a positive note. But one of the main reasons why I left what was, and to this day, was because I really wanted to build stronger relationships. And Assured Partners just happened to fall in my lap at that exact point in time.
Well, it was definitely meant to be. That's for sure, Austin. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
throughout this conversation today, we've obviously relationships is at the center of it, but it's also at the center of your career success. And you
hmm
mentioned being with Assured Partners for 5 years, and I know the kind of success that you've achieved during that period of time. But what are some examples where this relationship building has really manifested itself into success for you?
Yeah, it's funny again, kind of so one example, and this was kind of just a small world, uh, unbelievable, just Cleveland moment, right? I remember when I transitioned to Assured Partners, I knew a guy from college that I played football with, and we went to Baldwin Wallace together. And he was hosting this. It was sort of like a networking group where we would meet every Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and it was sort of like there was really no agenda, but we would bring up certain topics about leadership and how to be better. As a professional, right? So, and it was a small group. It was like 8 guys, and we met virtually. And this was during COVID, so it seemed like a lot of people were doing this. And one of the guys, he in the thing in the networking group, he actually had just went through a big job transition, and him and I were connecting on that. Well, I come to find out, he was moving into the payroll business with Paycor, and I didn't know at the time that Assured Partners had a national partnership with Paycor. We were owned by the same private equity, um, and him and I, we kept connecting, and we grabbed breakfast, lunch a few times, and got to know each other. And that blossomed into a long-standing relationship. Actually, ironically, I'm grabbing lunch with him here in a few days, and that relationship has blossomed into, us helping our clients out by sending each other people that were in need for the certain areas that our expertise are in. That's just one example right there where it just kind of happened out of nowhere, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to see where this relationship goes with this guy, and it became such a strong relationship that I ended up trusting him enough to introduce him to my clients. So that's just one example right there off the top of my head where um, and again, I go back to relationships taking time, and it did take time. It's not like it happened overnight. And it was the same way with my clients to date. Another one of my clients who is a client still to this day. I had been talking to him for almost 2 years, and I helped him out with a few things during his renewal and off cycle with his benefits program. And he had called me a few times to consult about a few things. And eventually he said, you know what, Austin, I trust you, and I want to introduce you to my leadership, and we think that you should be our broker. And it just goes back to what I said earlier. When you're playing in a team sport, or in some sort of trying to create a relationship, it really does take time, and it takes trust. But if you do the right things and you're willing to be there and help them when the help is needed, and build that trust, I think it'll eventually come around and reward you back.
Very true. And the thing that stands out in what you shared there, Austin, is I think something we were talking about a minute ago, not approaching this as transactional, just approaching this as, hey, we're fellow professionals. We want to grow in our professional development and who we know and make good connections. And hey, maybe it leads to something. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it never leads to anything. But so often, ironically, it seems to lead to either doing business directly with that person or them referring you to someone else, or in a lot of cases, both. But again, the key point here is not approaching it saying, hey, what can this person do for me? More, what can I do for this other person?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's and like I said, and I think that's why sometimes my our business, the benefits side and just the insurance side can be so tough because we are in a economy where, everything is right next to us where we can just grab it right away, right? We have access to everything. I can pick up my phone right away and Google something or look at something or get the answer to something. Um, and when you're building a relationship in the insurance industry, it's not like that. I mean, sometimes you'll find lightning in a bottle where you call someone and they're frustrated and maybe you get lucky, right? But for the most part, it takes time, and you know, uh, people these days their patience is very short because we have instant gratification, right? And I think I think it takes a lot of time and patience to really build a strong relationship because the stronger you build that relationship, you'll have a client forever. I mean, I always say the longer it takes to build a relationship, the longer it takes to break a relationship, right? So um, the longer that process goes and the longer you guys build it together, you're really building something that has a strong base, moving forward for the rest of your career and that relationship.
Austin, as we talk and as we've talked even offline, clearly these beliefs that you hold and this approach, these are pretty deeply rooted. So I wonder where do these beliefs relative to relationship building and nurturing that, where do you think they stem from?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be completely honest, I think it all starts from how I was raised within my in my family. Like I said earlier, I grew up seeing my grandpa and my father and my mom build longstanding relationships and being a young kid and being involved in all sorts of group sports and building relationships with kids that were on my team that uh, to this day I still talk to. I could probably name 8 to 10 guys that I played sports with growing up that I still talk to or still see um, every so often. So I would say that's one thing, and my wife's like I had mentioned earlier, my wife's uncle, um, he owns a business that him and my father-in-law had started, and they have a long-standing relationship with Assured Partners, and really getting to know him and getting to have him in my life really showed me what it really showed me what it looks like and what it means to have a long-standing relationship. So I think it all started with just having strong role models in my life. And then I go back to, what I had mentioned before, having strong role models from coaches that I had growing up. I was fortunate enough to have strong coaches that taught me a lot about what it was like to work hard and put in the effort to build something. And if you really think about it, at the end of the day, that's what a relationship is. It's building something. Um, and that's really, if you peel back the curtain, I mean, most almost about everything you do in life involves around building something. It's just like my insurance career, just building my career and building my book of business with my relationship with all of my clients.
Great analogy. And to compare it to building a home, just starting off with that foundation, making sure that's well leveled, making sure that that's, construction from a construction standpoint, that it's sound, and then just building that up, like you said, and taking the time. So Austin, with the few minutes we have left, and for those who want to be better at this building and nurturing their professional relationships, but they feel challenged in this area, and there are more than a few people I know that fall into that category, what would you recommend they do?
A couple things I would recommend, but one specifically is put yourself out there. Be open minded to meeting people. Be open minded to when going to an event and walking up to a stranger and shaking their hand and just having general conversations and not trying to force something or push something, but just being patient and taking the time to just go out there and meet new people and just put that effort in. I feel sometimes when I come across people that want to build relationships, they talk about it, but the effort is the one thing that lacks, right? And it's just going out there and doing it, putting in the action, putting in the work, because it does take work. It might take you 15 or 20 times to reach out to somebody before they welcome you in to open up to you or talk about something personal or invite you to a cup of coffee or breakfast or lunch. And so that's one thing I would tell people that are having challenges in this area. I would say, don't close yourself off from anything. Be open minded and be willing to put yourself out there. And then the second thing would be, be patient. Be patient, and the time will come, and the relationships will build over time. It's funny. I was actually thinking about this as we were talking. My brother is a oil canvas painter, and we went on vacation to Hilton Head. My other brother had gotten married. This was recently. This was like within the last month. And my brother brought all of his painting stuff. He was focusing on a bigger painting than he normally does, and he couldn't take a week off because he had to finish this. He had a deadline for himself, and he was very disciplined and accountable with it. And I remember I came upstairs a few times because he was on the balcony, painting. And I actually thought about that. I was like, the patience, the time, and the effort that he has put into this thing, the relationship that he has built with this painting. I know it sounds odd, but you could tell just by the way he was painting this thing that there was a relationship, and it was because he had been working on it for 6 months or 4 months or whatever. And at the end of the day, that's really what I'm trying to say here is the time, the patience, the effort, and building something will eventually lead to a successful long-term relationship.
Well, folks, we can certainly talk much more about this topic. In fact, Austin and I were saying that offline, and we could probably spend a few days talking about this. But
Yeah.
as I check the clock on the wall, it tells me that we're out of time for today. Austin, thank you so much for joining me and talking about something we all could get better at.
Thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate the time, and like I said, I'm always open to jumping on a podcast and talking more about this stuff because I feel that it's very important, and it can lead to a very very successful career when it comes to building long-standing relationships. So thank you for that.
No, you're very welcome, and we will have to look at having you come back sometime, and we can pick up where we left off today.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, sadly, that's all the time that we have together as well. And we hope this episode has put you in a much better position to understand and cultivate the professional relationships that exist out there for you. Well, as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like and follow so you don't miss the next edition. But until next time, this is HR Kyle saying, stay focused, stay grounded, and of course, stay tuned. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the HR Kyle podcast. We hope you found our discussion valuable and filled with insights that you can apply in your professional journey. Whether you're a business leader aiming to foster a thriving workplace or a job seeker looking to carve out your own path, remember that HR Kyle is the compass that can guide you towards success. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with your network. We're committed to being your trusted source for HR wisdom, and we look forward to having you back with us for our next episode. Remember, in the world of HR and professional growth, there's always room for progress. Be sure to visit our website at hrkyle.com. That's hrkyle.com to learn more about how we can help you meet your business and professional goals. So until next time, this is HR Kyle signing off. Stay motivated, stay informed, and keep reaching for those career goals. Music provided by bensound.com. That's bensound.com.